Hello. So it's a late night live stream. I've been working since the earlier one. I'm sorry my body's cut off. I've found a place just next to the fireplace to sit on some cushions. The chair I was in was getting rather tiresome with I'm cooking tomorrow's dinner as well now while the fire's on, and then I'll just have to warm it up. But yeah, it was getting tiresome sitting in the chair, so there was some pillows by chance just here, and I've decided to come and sit here to remove some of the discomfort. And as I'm sitting here, I realised with my normal awareness to spirituality and life, my inner guidance system is off at the moment. So I've just turned off all of the see if we can move the phone a little bit. Would you prefer this one or this one? Positions. Leave it here. So I realised in that instant that I have to stop. I have to I have to stop allowing myself to explore, because exploration in any way is only beneficial if you can truly explore. And if we don't stop at the right time, exploration can turn into being lost real quick. And that'll bring us into the subject, what I'm going to be talking about in a minute, being lost. But right now, I just made that decision. Because often when I'm sitting here and I'm alone, there's nothing to do and I'm in pain, I allow myself to go off and think about whatever it takes my fancy. There's no reason why not to. I'm in control of it, it's in check, and when it gets boring or too much, I stop, and when sorry, my brain shut down to allow any normal flow to the conversation there, so I had to take a pause. But that's me. I'm sure it comes across in these videos what I talk about and everything. But as I'm sitting here and my mind's going a little bit in that direction, thinking about spirituality, as I said, I realised I'm not truly able to hear at the moment. I'm not truly able to tune in. And what it was a case of, I remembered something, I can't even remember what it was at this moment. It's not important. All that's important is that it was in reference to my uncle. And my uncle is one of the biggest influences in my life in terms of a teacher role model. I've said it before, he's like a spiritual guide to me, has been since my teens. And we had a way of communicating, a way of understanding each other from a shared commonality, and that shared commonality was what he imparted, but it's what became the foundation of our relationship. And that was unconditional love, spirituality, essentially what that looks like in a world that spirituality is relegated to like a weekend workshop and going to see that healer your friend knows because you don't know how else to deal with your irritable knee. But what I'm referencing is how that looks anyway. And when the world is so complex, and you want to introduce spirituality and unconditional love, my uncle said the solution to complex problems are simple. And what that essentially looked like, our relationship, was simplicity to what I've just said. There was a lot of space, a lot of presence, and I've said it before, collective psychosis, and my uncle was a part of the collective psychosis, but he was willing to also treat and have a relationship with me in a different way still. And in that place of our relationship, what it looked like was a friend. Someone that, don't forget I'm autistic, so that is a factor, and I've just had a 5-minute warning on my phone with the battery, so it can't be too long a live stream. I might have to make it a part 2 because the charge is over the other side of the room. But in that place, he basically made... He's a lot older. He was the age of my dad, so there was always the dynamics of reality, and within that reality, I respected the fact that he was older and that I was younger. But at the same time, with family, you don't really give a shit. So it didn't really matter, but there was always an awareness there. And when he used to speak to me, I'd listen. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is my uncle instigated those ideas in the first instance. But the manner in which they were put across was that he was my friend. And that's what I always remember about my uncle, is that nobody else in this world, not really to the same extent, people have gone down that path. Friendship, I always found myself below people. I was always the butt of the joke, not always, but quite often. And I'm autistic, so I didn't get socialising. But with family, you don't socialise, you're just you. And when you're just you, there's no obligation, at least not with the dynamics of my family. But it's not, I don't think it was just my family, it's got to be at least the dynamics of Greek culture. But I suspect it's the same for all cultures. I'm not fully aware, but I can't imagine it's too difficult to believe that it's any different. And essentially what was happening was I was recounting, well, I wasn't even recounting, it's pretty much being shoved down my neck. And that is the way the information comes to me. And then it comes to me and I have a chance to think about it and observe it and contemplate it. And on this occasion, I recounted, as I said, I don't remember exactly what it was, but something my uncle had shared with me, or a discussion or something like that. And as I said, with my uncle, we had a funny way of communicating. And that funny way of communicating holds a certain energy, and it just works a certain way. In other words, there's an understanding there without words, without expression. It's just the fundamentals of our relationship and everything that we'd experienced up until then guided the wisdom that few words were needed to express. And basically, my mental health was trying to tell me some spiritual ideas, and it was using this memory of this interaction with my uncle, this conversation, whatever it was. And I made a decision on it. So in other words, like I do with all spiritual ideas and concepts, I think about it and I think, right, the most likely thing from this weird and wacky thing that's just been put into my head is this. That's how I think about spirituality. And it's always in context, so there's always a bigger picture, and then like a memory of the past will come in to try and help me realise more of that picture. And that's what was happening then. And as the idea came through, it was using this memory of my uncle to help open up the picture, to help me see, to help me understand. And I thought, oh, okay, that must mean it's this. So as a result of everything that was being shoved into my head, this is what it means. And I carried on. And after a little bit, I remembered that memory, just that few seconds ago, of that situation of the memory of my uncle trying to communicate to me a bigger picture, and the way I decided an outcome on it. So in other words, as a result of that, the way the picture opened up thereafter is the outcome. And I realised I wasn't really listening to my uncle. I was racing along trying to open up the picture, and that's never my intent. And with all the information I've ever received, the information my uncle has shared with me is probably the most precious. I realised for the time being it all stops. I'm not in a place to contemplate the wonders of the universe, immortality, why there's currently a war with Ukraine and Russia when there's an abundance of fucking everything the mind can imagine in this world. And more, it all stops. I made that decision and I knew it was correct, and I stopped. I was sitting here, and I think my mental health got upset that, oh, what, you don't wanna think about this stuff anymore. What am I gonna do? And he kept trying to push stuff in, like change the subject and make it about this, and then what about this? Well, you got to be thinking about this. This you never not think. You never turn it away if I put it in front of you. It will stop. The one thing, after a while, that it put across me that got me in a place where I was, oh, okay, I can actually think about this. So the one exception to everything stopping is me figuring out how, why, when, and how to get myself out of this coma I believe I'm in. So I allowed myself the space to think. I actually woke up a bit because it's serious, the coma. It's not like I'm off in my own head with spiritual concepts, trying to figure out how long it is before humanity will remember their immortality, and how long it will be before wars stop, and figuring out how to levitate through reality and everything else, all the other wonders that come into my head. This was serious because it's for my life, it's for all the problems I have in my life. And I figure it's easier to get myself out of a coma than it is to make this world remember Atlantis. Otherwise I'd be happy to stay here. in a dream for all of time. And the memory that the way it got me to realize it's okay to think about things as long as the subject matter is coma was my friend from school, and he was a friend from the group of friends that was formed after school, but it was from the same group of friends that came from school, and he stayed a good friend for me for I don't know, something like 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, something like that. And since my mental health was started, anybody that knows me on Facebook, you can't really call me a friend anymore. Just someone that was a friend. You can't be friends with this depressed bastard when he swears and he never used to swear, and he looks like this and he never used to look like that, and he talks about all of this stuff and he never used to talk about all of this stuff. And I couldn't speak to him because he was like so really, really awkward, as if he had autism, and now he's speaking all the time. So I can well imagine that fact, and the fact that I haven't really spent time with any of my friends from back in the day, or any of my friends on Facebook, you're able to really call me a friend anymore. A friend that is a friend. We're not talking about someone we know from the past. Either way, I was willing to think about what he was saying, and I want to wrap it up because the battery's about to die. And what sticks in my mind about this particular friend, that almost as if in a similar way to the way I remember the information from my uncle, there are a few people that have like the odd little thing here and there that carries that same energy, whereas my uncle was all the time. For instance, like this friend, it was like 1 or 2 or 3 times. But this is the main one out of all of it, in reference to this friend, that stands out to me. And that was in reference to the movie Into the Wild. Hopefully you've seen the movie. I'll give you a very, very, very quick what's it called? Synopsis of the movie. Essentially, this guy, he's really intelligent, gets pissed off with society. Don't know if you know anybody, well, maybe not the intelligence, but pissed off with society, if you know anybody like that. And he wants to go back to nature. Don't know if you know anybody like that. And he goes off to Alaska. It's an American movie, so he's in America, and he decides to go to Alaska and venture into the wild alone. And it tells the story of how he learns to hunt and kill and skin animals and forage and build shelter, etc., etc. And then there's this one scene in the in the film, where he realizes he wants to go home, he wants to go back. I can't remember the reason, but that's the decision. And on his journey to the place that he found, he had to cross a river. And as he was trying to go back, that river had basically iced over and turned into ice water because of the time of the year. And he wasn't able to go back. And essentially, thereafter, his life fell apart and he died. But my friend said to me, and this was left out of the movie, and that is that apparently there was a bridge just a mile down the road or river. And where I am now, that idea, that interaction with this friend, that information parted to me, has been playing over and over as my life has been very difficult of late. And what clicked tonight was that when you live by nature, you've got to be in tune with nature. You can well imagine if he was in a different place, calmer, not panicked, like, oh, how am I going to get home? I can't go home this way. I've just come across, I'm struggling. I'm going to die if I don't go home. And the panic sets in. But if he'd have stayed